Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter, with a review of a product that I'm really excited for. I'm just going to come right out and say I love this product. It checks all the boxes for me. It is high quality, it's affordable, it's easy to use, and it makes you want to paint more, in my opinion. So this is the Holbein Artist Gouache Primary Mixing Set. It's not that expensive, especially when considering these are professional colors. You get five 15 ml tubes of gouache. We have primary white, primary black, primary yellow, primary magenta, and primary cyan, and there's not a dud in the bunch. I don't use black all that much, but when you have such a small mixing selection, it will get used. I've done a couple paintings with this, and I'm glad I did paintings with this first before I swatched them out, because I think if I swatched them out, I might have been a little disappointed with how transparent they are for a gouache, but the proof is in the pudding, and painting with these is just so easy, so nice. Yeah. I'm just really impressed. So what I did was actually, I put some out in this little, this is actually, you know, if you buy the wax tarts to like put in a wax warmer, I saved the container. This was perfect for gouache. I can get a big brush in there, and it has a little lid. So that's what I have mine in. It's nothing fancy, but I just wanted to give you that heads up in case maybe you use the wax melts as well and you have these containers, but they're gouache. This is a regular gouache, so you can reactivate it if it dries out. I try to keep them kind of like semi-moist. I try not to let my gouache dry completely out if I can avoid it, but it'll come back. It comes in this little box right here. This I paid I'm around $25 for it, so I think that's a pretty good price because I saw this in a local art shop for $45. So that's a Japan import price on Amazon. So if you can get it for this price, I say it's awesome. But honestly, I mean, that's $5 a tube. That is not bad for gouache. I love the color selection, and they mixed very well. So this is what they look swatched out. This is how they look. I did a black line before I swatched them out so we could see the opacity. The white is pretty opaque. I'd say it's probably about 80% opaque. The yellow is not quite as opaque. I'd say it's about 60% opaque. The red is maybe like 75% opaque. The blue is very opaque, and the black is very opaque. So when I first swatched this out, especially when the paint was wet, I could really see that black line, and I was like, oh, I don't know about this. But as it dried, it did get a little bit more opaque. It's very matte. You don't get that any glossiness if you put a couple layers down. Gouache isn't meant to be used really thickly, and just painting with it was wonderful. So I'll show you my paintings in a minute, but I want to show you this this information that comes. I'm just gonna put that lid on there so I don't stick my hand in it. I'm going to show you the information that comes with this kit because I haven't seen a mixing set come with information like this before, and I think for a beginner it's just excellent. I'm going to zoom out a little bit to make sure I can have it all on screen. It comes with a brochure in several languages. Let's see, we definitely have Japanese and English. I'm not sure if there are other Asian languages. It looks like there might be, but I'm not an expert, obviously. So the interesting thing about this, not only does it give you the recipes to make the paints, the way they chose the paints for this kit, for these primary colors, is that they have weighted each color so that if you mix them 1-to-1, you're going to get, like you mix a primary 1-to-1, you're going to get the secondary color. So that way it takes a little bit of the guesswork of how much magenta, how much yellow do I add if I want to get orange, how much cyan, and how much magenta do I add if I want to get purple. So it kind of shows you what the 1-to-1 mix will be, and then like if you want to do a little bit more magenta, or you want to do a little bit more blue, or you want to add white into the mix, what you're going to get. So I really like that. I think it's going to really help beginners get that tone. Like, oh, I want kind of a skin tone. What should I do? Well, how dark do you want it? How light do you want it? You can start off with an orange and then go to peach, or you could even use less white and have a little bit more brown if you added a little bit of cyan. It doesn't go into really in-depth color theory, but it does go through your values, your basic colors, and the way they use the pigment intensity or the pigment load in the paints. They did it so you could mix 1-to-1 and get, you know, some basic secondary colors, which I really like. I think that's going to take a lot of the guesswork out. Of course, Yellow is the lightest value. If you look on a value range, it is a lighter value. Like it's not as dark as the magenta or the blue, so often you will need more yellow anyway. But I like that they did kind of equilibrate them a little bit, calibrate them a bit so that it's going to be a little easier to mix. So I did a quick little color wheel here, and then I started mixing some of the three colors, the three primaries together to get some browns. Very easy to do. Look at that beautiful chocolate brown. That's what I do when I'm doing a brown is I'll mix orange and then I'll add little bits of blue to it until I get the tone that I want. But whenever you mix all three, if you mix all three equally, you will get more of a black or a dark gray color because they are very pure colors. And generally, colors with cooler undertones are more transparent. They're also less likely to create mud when you're mixing, which is kind of nice. Now, the Daniel Smith mixing set that I just reviewed uses warm primaries. So I would say if you had the Daniel Smith mixing set and you wanted the cool primaries, you could add the Holbein mixing set and get a really good range of colors. So see, we get a warm yellow in Daniel Smith, a warm red, and a warm blue. And if we compared that to the yellow there, we would have a really nice range. If we compare our reds, we'd be able to mix a really nice range. And if we compared our blues, we'd have a really nice range. So I like that. I like the fact that I can combine the two. The Daniel Smith is quite a bit more expensive. You're getting 4 tubes for $40 on Blick, and here you can get 5 tubes for $25 on Amazon. But I would say the quality is equivalent, and I think I like the Holbein a little bit more because it's a better value, and I feel like you have way more mixing opportunities with your more true primary colors here. This is kind of like how your printer ink does your primaries, and that can mix any color you want for the most part. All the colors are Lightfast. The pigment information is on the tubes. I believe the yellow is the only one that's not a single pigment. So this is, your Cyan is PB15, also known as phthalo blue. My biggest criticism of the Daniel Smith gouache line was that there's no phthalo blue. And it's like, I just feel like I really need that for mixing. I don't think there's anything else in that other than the phthalo blue. Yeah, just PB15. For this, we have PR122 for our magenta. And for this, we have a mix of PY3, which is a Hansa yellow, and then PY74. And then we've got, which black are they using? For black, we have PBK7. And then for white, I think this is probably a titanium white, PW6. Now they say this white is neither cool nor warm. I'd say it's pretty neutral, but maybe, you know, it's definitely not a warm white, but it did mix well and didn't have any trouble getting warmer tones with this, which is really something, I think. So let me show you the painting I just did today with it, because I just love how it came out. Not to brag or anything, but I'm just so happy with the way this came out. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. I just did this with the Holbein mixing set. I didn't add any other colors, and it was just delightful. It was so nice to use. I started off with the black and white gray with a little bit of blue in it to do my background, and I just started using the red and yellow for my oranges, and I was able to layer up. I felt like everything was opaque enough. I didn't have any issues where I couldn't cover up what I wanted to cover up, but I also found that there's a lot of light in the paint, and it just was so easy. I didn't get mud. I didn't have any problems controlling it. It was just a delight to paint with. Now I just want to show you kind of my little mixing chart here. I had the space left over on my palette, so I figured on my page, I'm just going to do it here. The black is extremely strong. I would say the black is weighted heavier than the other colors, because if I mixed them, even with more color than black, the black would overtake whatever. It is an extremely opaque, strong black. But I did mix it with the blue, the magenta, and the red, the yellow, just to see what I would get there. Sometimes with a black, if you mix it with yellow, you'll get green. And that wasn't the case. This is definitely a very neutral black. There doesn't seem to be like an undertone to it. Then I mixed the primaries with white just to kind of see. Obviously, they're going to make pastels. These are the purples that we'll get. This one has more red. This one has more blue. This green has more blue. This green has more yellow. And this orange has more yellow. This orange has more red. So, you know, just to kind of give you an idea of the clarity in mixing. Very, very clean, clear colors here. And yeah, I love how this came out. I really enjoy painting with it. layered so well, and they were just so fun. Just be careful with the black. The black is stronger than the other primaries, but the 3 color primaries are designed to be fairly equivalent in strength, so your mixing is easy. And then the other thing I did with them is, I'll zoom back out because it's a larger piece. I did this painting here with the Holbein. I was able to mix skin tones. I was able to, you know, mix some deeper background colors. I was able to layer up. It just worked really well. And yeah, I just jumped right in and started painting with them. And for me to be able to just jump right in and start painting with a paint without having to think about it too much is really good. It really bodes well for the paint. And I love that it is it's more affordable than some of the other brands that we've tried out there. I'll post a tutorial. If it's not up already, I will post a video on this process here because I did film it as I was going. I mean, I just love how crisp the white and the black are. It was just a joy to paint with. And this was a pretty quick painting, which is also nice. I feel like this does not, sometimes when you have a paint, it can kind of get in your way when you're painting. Like you have to work around certain issues, you have to compensate for certain things, and I didn't feel like I had to compensate for anything here with these Holbein paints. I don't use a lot of Holbein paint. I have some of their watercolors. I bought the set of 18 and I like them all right, but there were so many mixed colors that and it was missing some sets that I thought would be super useful. So I guess I don't really go back to those paints very often, but I do really like this gouache, and I don't feel like I would really need much beyond these 5 colors. I would probably, for convenience sake, enjoy a like a burnt umber and a yellow ochre, and you know, I love to have an ultramarine blue just because it's, but although I didn't feel like I was missing anything mixing either. What I'd probably do would just take these and add my Daniel Smith colors to it just to have that little bit of variety. But I didn't feel like there isn't anything that I wouldn't be able to mix. Let's try to mix a sap green because that's a color that I really love to have. Let's see. Let's do that right now and see what we get. I'm going to clean off a little bit of my palette. My water is pretty dirty, so we'll hope for the best. But sap green isn't a super like vibrant color, so I think we'll be all right. All right, so let's see. I'm going to start off with yellow. Because whenever I have yellow in the mix, I like to start off with the yellow. I'm going to scoop out maybe a little bit more than I need. Clean off my brush. I'm going to grab some blue. And I'm going to grab a touch of the magenta because I'm going to need to tone it down a little bit. I shouldn't need too much though. Maybe I would use some black. I will get a little bit of black just to have it, but I don't necessarily think I'll need it, but I'll get a little bit over here in the corner just to have it. Now, a tip, when you're doing gouache painting, maybe you haven't painted in with your gouache for a couple of weeks and it's gotten really hard inside your palette, you could squeeze some fresh gouache on top and it'll kind of reconstitute that older stuff. So don't feel like it's all dried out, it's getting all cracked, you can't use it. I would definitely try to find something with tall wells in it, and I would try to keep it fairly hydrated as you're working. When I'm working from tubes, I don't squeeze out a ton. I'll do about enough for a few paintings. I try to keep them from getting contaminated, but yeah, I'll just top it off. And the thing is that I like about a limited palette is that I don't have like 12 tubes I have to deal with. That's why I take the jelly gouache, I take the lid off and I go to town because I don't have to unscrew all kinds of caps, put stuff out. So when I have a limited palette like this, I really love it because it's much more convenient. So I'm going to start by taking a little bit of the green, the blue, and adding it to the green. The sap green is more warm. It's a little more towards yellow, so I don't want to have too much in there. I'm going to start adding a little bit of magenta to that. Let's see what that looks like. Oh wow, that's pretty close right there, I would say. But it is a little bright, so maybe I'll take a little bit of black. Because when you are with a limited color palette like this, you will take advantage of every color you have. Yeah, I would say that's a pretty good sap green right there. Let me put a little bit more red in it and get it brown, or if we want more of like more of an olive or a moss green. Yeah, let's just hit that with a heat tool real quick and see how it looks. But yeah, playing with a limited color palette like this, if you are new to color mixing, will only help you. And I'm not going to say don't buy the ice set with tons of colors. That's the way you want to work however you want to work. But never feel like buying that $25 out of 5 colors is going to make you less of an artist than spending hundreds of dollars and buying every color in the line. In fact, it'll probably make you a better artist because you're going to have to learn how to mix your colors. And I was so excited about this because generally if you're going to go buy a 15 ml tube of gouache, you're going to pay $11 and up usually per tube. So that makes up 5 tubes, that'd be $50. And if you're a beginner, 50, 55, 60 bucks. If you're a beginner, you might be thinking, oh geez, you know, I don't know what colors to pick, and if I buy those, I better love them, they better work together. And you might be too precious with them if you paid that much. But $25, that's less than what you would pay for like one of the jelly gouache sets. And I feel like it wouldn't harm your learning whatsoever, and you know, it would definitely help your mixing. So those are gorgeous earthy greens. I think those would work great for any sort of landscape, and I don't really think you would want for much. And if I hadn't done a couple paintings to know how well they layer and how well they paint, I would be a little nervous with how translucent they are in the mass tone swatch there, but after using them, I have absolutely no reservations whatsoever with recommending this. Now, of course, I always recommend shopping around, but I have not seen them cheaper than Amazon for $25. I know Jerry's Artarama carries Holbein. I think Blick does too for the gouache, and maybe your favorite local art supply store has them as well. Because once you buy that 5 primary set, those are workhorse colors. You probably will use them up, so you might want to buy that set again. But if not, you might just want to replace one color or add a color to it. I find that this is pretty slow wearing paint. I don't use a ton of it when I'm doing a painting, so it should last you quite a while having those 15 ml tubes. So I'll show you a tube again. And of course you can buy these open stock. So you run out of the white, you could buy this tube. If you absolutely love this tube of white, you can buy it. Same goes for the other colors. And I have no reservations recommending this, honestly. If you want to learn how to mix colors, I really don't think you could do better, price-wise, quality-wise, than this set of 5 tubes. I know mixing's not for everyone, but I painted this so fast, I don't feel like having to mix my colors slowed me down at all. Granted, I have experience, but you know, there was nothing that I felt like I had to work around to get these paints to work well for me, and I think that speaks volumes. So yeah, if you're looking to get into gouache, you really want to color mix, I would say absolutely grab this set. If you're new to color mixing, look at the brochure. I love that they included this because honestly, this right here, following their little recipes there, practicing, that's going to teach you so much. It's going to teach you so much more than watching videos about color mixing will do. Just do it, just mix it. And knowing that you're starting off with clean, pure, vibrant colors is going to take away that guesswork of, well, how come my color looks muddy? It doesn't look like what the person is doing on YouTube. You're starting off with bright colors and you've got recipe. I think it's great. Holbein, you did a good job, and props to you. I don't know anybody at Holbein, and I bought this with my own money. I didn't get this sent to me or anything, and I'm super, super happy with my purchase. So I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. It's a great set, and like I said, it will work with other stuff you have. So if you have maybe you have a set of the jelly gouache and you're thinking about branching out to more artist grade materials, and you want to start and you want to try that and maybe add some of your other colors in with it, you absolutely can do that. Maybe you're trying to decide between Holbein and Daniel Smith, so you buy the mixing set of each. They're going to go so well together. Or maybe you want to try, well, I would say Daniel Smith because their colors are different. The M Graham mixing set has very similar colors to those. So I probably wouldn't buy both of those. I'd do one or the other if you're trying to decide between Holbein and M Graham. I've got to get my M Graham gouache out for a review, but they're not going to be as cheap as the Holbein is on Amazon right now. So yeah, I like it. Even at full retail, I think it's a good set to have. So there you have it. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please give me a thumbs up if you did. And until next time, happy crafting. Bye.